The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
There's a saying that goes, if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, I'm not much of a dendrophile, so I won't chime in, but there's another question to ask in the same vein. If a major brand fails behind the scenes and no one knows about it, does it matter? Since 2017, we've been tracking the death of one of the most beloved brands in entertainment, and its fall into ignominy. From its declining box office to its failing toy sales, World Class Bullshitters was there to report on the death of Star Wars. From the trenches of retail, we brought you footage that depicted one of the greatest brands in history dying on the vine. A former billion-dollar earner was quickly heading towards a sad end. Iconic characters were nowhere to be found, replaced by facsimiles. The new Star Wars brand failed to connect with the audience, and the financial result was disastrous, with retail all but eliminating Star Wars from its shelves. In a matter of 3 years, Star Wars went from the Cadillac of brands to the bottom of the food chain. In 2022, Star Wars is an afterthought. It's a brand that lives across discount retailers and bargain basements. It's a shell of its former self, and today we're going to tell you about another brand that's in equally dire straits. Marvel. An industry insider has just given us a look at the inner workings of the mighty Marvel merchandise mountain and how it's headed in the same exact direction as Star Wars. There's no doubt that Marvel is the biggest brand on the planet. With 29 films in the MCU, a dozen more on the way, and countless TV shows on Disney Plus, and thousands of characters, Marvel has been an entertainment cash cow for its parent company, Disney. Disney purchased Marvel in 2009 for $4 billion. From that $4 billion investment, Marvel films would gross over $18 billion for Disney at the box office alone. A film can succeed at the box office, but for a brand to thrive, it must have a presence at retail. As Yogurt said, the real money is made in
merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made.
In 2014, the Marvel brand arrived, according to CEO Bob Iger. A 2014 Business Insider article noted that Disney had $8 billion merchandise brands: Disney Princesses, Star Wars, Winnie the Pooh, Mickey Mouse, Monsters, Disney Junior, Cars, and Spider-Man. The same Business Insider article would go on to say, as the world's top licensor, Disney generated a record $41 billion from licensed merchandise in 2013, a significant increase from $28.6 billion in 2010, according to a June report by Variety. That was a much different time for Disney Entertainment. Over the last decade, with the exception of 2015's Jurassic World, Disney has had the top film of each year, with Marvel and Star Wars being the biggest earners. While it would seem that Marvel and Star Wars were the best ATMs in the world in terms of box office, a big part of their brand strategy was dying. In 2017, World Class Bullshitters became the first channel to report on the demise of the Star Wars toy brand. Through a series of videos, you were shown how merchandise was clogging retail chains, to the point where new merchandise was being clearanced before release. Star Wars was failing miserably at retail, while The Last Jedi was becoming a billion-dollar earner, though its returns were $750 million less than its predecessor, The Force Awakens. After the initial videos, footage from all over the world began popping up. Then it got worse. As new merchandise was arriving at premium retailers, the same merchandise was showing up at discount retailers for a fraction of the cost. You could walk into Target and see Rey for $12.99, or you could go across the street to Ollie's and get that same Rey for $4.99. Same figure, same value, less than half the price. People were confused as to what happened once Disney took over Star Wars, with some believing it was simple: overproduction, while others noticed the trend right away. New characters weren't selling and old characters weren't being made. Instead of producing merchandise representative of all Star Wars, Lucasfilm mandated the changes that merchandisers focus on the new characters only. This mandate would lead to failing sales. Gentle Giant, one of the producers of Star Wars merchandise, would be asked in a Q&A about merchandise based on unproduced characters from the sequel trilogy, to which Gentle Giant responded with, "What demand?" This would go on to confirm what fans already knew. We don't want this, but who's forcing it on us? We have the answer, and an industry insider confirms it. There's no doubt we're living in the Marvel age. As stated at the beginning of this video, there are 29 theatrical MCU films, with an additional 10 coming in the next 2 years. On TV, Marvel is on their 8th series in 18 months, with 8 more coming by late next year. There's a difference between variety and oversaturation. As Marvel has increased their output, the quality and returns have declined. In 2022, top-level visual effects artists have spoken out against Marvel and their cheap ways. Marvel is cutting corners, and it shows on screen, with many complaining about the visuals of Doctor Strange and the appearance of She-Hulk. The increase in content has increased the diversity of Marvel characters used, but the returns are declining. A late July 2022 article from the Wall Street Journal confirms this, stating, "The films bring in less than 50% of what they used to," and citing films like Black Widow, Eternals, and Shang-Chi as failures. Failure at the box office is one thing, but these mighty Marvel mishaps follow the brand to retail and hurt a lot of people in the process. On Wednesday, August 24th, an article from the website That Park Place was published. They spoke with a toy industry insider who tells of Marvel woes that mirror the now dead Star Wars brand. Earlier this week, one of the writers from the Park Place received a tip from the toy industry insider who wanted to leak information obtained legally and ethically as part of their long career. While we have agreed to maintain the person's anonymity, we can also confirm that the particular details revealed by this individual lined up with the other information that we had received, which leads us to believe the reliability of the statement provided. Our anonymous source has agreed that portions of their conversation may be released unredacted, though we will protect their identity and hold any dialogue which could lead to adverse action against them. Overall, we, the toy company holding the licensees, have mandates from companies operating in 3 huge consumer categories. Princesses are doing fine for most license holders, no issue. Lucasfilm is a disaster, with new characters having no consumer pull, and worse, even classic characters are now seeing diminishing returns. Star Wars was previously the most expensive royalty at Disney, though they vary by category, but following the veritable deluge of markdowns at retail, many of the bigger guys were able to negotiate not only rebates, but even concessions on the next product because of the markdowns. If it ain't selling, Walmart doesn't want your dead plastic, garment, or whatever. Also, the brand is no longer a theatrical brand, and that didn't go over well with business partners. In regards to Marvel, both unit and licensing are down roughly 50% units and about 30% in dollars. The new stuff is failing to generate the level 2 and level 3 interest that brings in the big money branded dollars at retail. Level 1 interest is going to see the movie. Level 2 and level 3 are deeper down in the trickle interest chain where you're willing to buy branded merchandise that is further and further removed from the source. Spider-Man, Captain America, and Iron Man are holding everything together at this point. Spider-Man is the only sub-brand showing growth in units and dollars and fan interest, confirmed by Quanti and Focus. Eternals was the worst across the board, but here's the general statement. Female heroes do not sell merchandise. Sorry, they don't. Unfortunately, current economic conditions mean that few of our mandates are exploratory to find opportunities, but are more in the what the hell happened vein. This is getting long, so I will simplify. Say you were going to ship a master carton of 8 plastic drinking cups to Walmart for them to sell individually. What would the character mix be? Confirmed by UPC sales and after the fact consumer data, your ideal mix would be 2 of each, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Captain America, and 1 of each of Thor and Hulk. Of course, Marvel could ask for 50% female representation, but you could deal that down to 25%, where Thor and Hulk are out, replaced by Black Widow and Wanda. Thor and Hulk outsell Widow by at least 8 to 1, with an even bigger gap for Wanda. The problem here is that the male heroes sell, and you ship more of those case packs. The female heroes back up on the shelves and clog the pipeline. Think thousands of stores in the US. Markdowns. Want to make it worse? Sure you do. How about Marvel oblige you to ship a case pack of Eternal-themed drinking cups for each classic character shipped? Something they did over many categories when Eternals came out. At that point, the markdowns are so significant that you're losing money in my example. Also, virtually none of the purely TV characters even register with consumers for merchandising purposes. None. I could also add the following. While Disney merchandise departments write up the contracts from a merchandising perspective, all the power is still with the divisions, Marvel, Disney, and Pixar, because of the key character polls, design, screen time, future plans, characterization, in-store interactions, etc. reside on the creative side. Say you have 20,000 Vision t-shirts in stock and want to know if there's an impending plan for the character to help move the merchandise. Well, good luck with that. In that example, the shirts will be moved by the pound to a developing nation for tax credits. Here's one more. Redacted to protect identities told me that a couple of higher-ups at key Marvel business partners told him, convoluted I know, that Marvel management, though not Disney management, know damn well that their creative decisions are impacting merchandise revenue, but they're trying to manage things where merchandise sales from classic characters mask/balances out poor merchandise sales from new Marvel characters. I mean, do I really have to do a 36-hour focus group across blank to tell you that Spider-Man is a much better driver than Doctor Strange, who is a much better merchandise driver than the Falcon, who is a much better merchandise driver than Moon Knight, who is a much better merchandise driver than Echo, etc.? 2 regional observations for North America. Captain America is number 2 in the US with Iron Man 3rd, both behind Spider-Man. And in Canada, Captain America is the 3rd behind Iron Man. So Captain America is the top 3 in both Canada and the United States. Other notes on Cap. Blue t-shirt with the shield but no character visual or name is the USA bestseller. Falcon is Falcon outsells Falcon as Captain America in our clients' categories. If you only have 3 different SKUs of bed sheets to make, you do Spider-Man, a Cap, and an Iron Man. Pay the premium tomorrow and replace the Iron Man with an Avengers bedsheet with all the characters, and that will be your best seller. Do you really need me to ask in a focus group if little girls are just dying to get Agatha Harkness pajamas? If I hold up just 2 pictures in a focus group, one of Scarlett Johansson and one with the blonde lady, and ask which one is Black Widow, what do you think they answer? Correct. Choosing which licensed character to put on your product is the key decision, especially when there are so many available, and Marvel is pushing Falcon, Shang-Chi, and any female character, often obliging you to include a hefty bunch of these in your character mix. Which is the top-selling beach towel? Spider-Man or Shang-Chi? The difference is a couple 100,000 units at $12.99 US dollars. Marvel is in the same place that Star Wars was many years ago. In 2014, Star Wars was a billion-dollar brand. In 2022, Star Wars can't get 5,000 people to back a Hasbro Pulse crowdfunding. It would appear that the same decisions that killed Star Wars are being implemented for Marvel. Forcing manufacturers to produce characters that consumers don't want is antithetical to business. Fans are letting their opinions be known, but companies tend to ignore the majority and appeal to a minority in the hopes of expanding that brand. That's being done at the expense of retailers, manufacturers, and the audience itself. The Eternals were clearance months before the film was released, and you can still find them hanging around Target, but not in the toy aisle, that clearance aisle. Other characters like Spider-Man, Captain America, and Iron Man are in high demand, but forcing Captain Marvel and Echo on us won't work. This insider information also confirms what we all knew. Captain Marvel may have made $1 billion at the box office, but the character was a failure with her merchandise hitting clearance days after the film dropped. It's also interesting that the push to Disney Plus is crippling Marvel's retail presence. According to multiple sources, a movie needs a theatrical release to have staying power. Under Disney, both Marvel and Star Wars are appearing on Disney Plus more than theaters, but the streaming numbers aren't enough to save the brand. Social media talking points and trending hashtags do not equal dollars or units sold. Disney has a constant deluge of social media darlings and retail rejects. 2021 was rife with Eternals hype, yet the film was DOA. Marvel knows which of their characters sell, yet they push a narrative that goes against any business endeavors. A prime example of knowing their audience is McFarlane Toys. Todd McFarlane, former comic artist, image founder, and toy company owner, has recently acquired the DC toy rights. Though some online complain, McFarlane knows how to market and has produced countless Batman figures, all which sell, making his company successful in the process. Companies forced into producing unpopular characters for pointless reasons hurt businesses. The forced quota of 50% female is an arbitrary number created to internally appease a shrinking but vocal audience. Online movements may get the attention of a studio, but the results are usually detrimental. One might assume that falling sales hurt one bottom line, Disney, but that's not true. Unsellable merchandise hurts retail, and when they're hurting, people lose jobs. It's great that some executive feels good about themselves by making their superhero line more diverse, but when merchandise doesn't sell, people get fired, and that's a problem. The Marvel brand is following down the same path as Star Wars. An iconic brand that could formerly do no wrong is making decisions that is hastening its demise. As the MCU box office continues to decline because films based on characters people don't like aren't selling toys or selling tickets, the toy sales begin to fall faster. A brief look at the upcoming Marvel slate of action figures confirms what our insider was talking about. When things are bad, companies will front load all the big names. There are 5 new Spider-Man figures and they all use the same body. The only difference is the color and the eye shape, and they're all based on the same iconic costume with little differences. This is how Hasbro makes their money: recycling. The same goes for Wolverine too. People online may complain, but the demand is there. Pay attention to case assortments and figure selection in the future. There's a reason why you'll see 50 Spider-Man figures before you'll see 1 Misty Knight. Supply and demand is simple, but Disney demands that you want what they supply, even if no one buys it. That model is killing the brand. Star Wars is now an afterthought. It was pillaged by these ideals. Something has to change at the top to stop this bleeding. If it kills a brand, then all that money, well, that money was for nothing. And now it's time for 3 questions. 1, were you surprised by this information? 2, have you bought more or less Star Wars or Marvel since Disney took over? And 3, do you still like Marvel movies? Are you excited for the future? I know that's 4, but kind of lump that one together. I'm not surprised by any of this because I'm the guy that was out there filming all of it. With the Star Wars brand, we were the ones that brought it to your attention. We traveled all over the country to look at Star Wars toys not selling at Toys R Us, Walmart, Target, retail outlets, and guess what? It's now Marvel's turn. We've been documenting the Eternals toys not selling, we've been looking at a lot of the Disney Plus figures not selling, like Owen Wilson's character from Loki, and now with the upcoming phases looking less and less exciting, expect more and more of these Marvel toys to just sit around at retail and not do much. It also hurts the figures that they're based off of concept designs. I spoke to a friend, Bobby Valla, who's a former employee of Hasbro and now owns his own toy line, Action Force, and he's confirmed a lot of this too. So if you would like to hear that conversation, go over to the 3POA podcast on their channel with co-hosts Laser Pants and Tony of Analog Toys, and we have this discussion over there as well. But I would be remiss not to mention one person who helped make this video possible. Shout out to our friend Valiant Renegade and the hard work of WDW Pro. Valiant Renegade reached out to tell me about this story, and so be on the lookout for us because we'll be working together very, very soon. But folks, I'm going to take my victory lap. I try to end these things very quickly and concisely to help the emotion, but you know what? I am going to end it with the best emotion possible because, well, you know what? I'm not going to say it. Let me just get my good friend Razor Fist to tell you exactly how I feel. Fuck!
Fuck you, I was right! Fuck you, I was right! Fuck you, I was right!